The reason there is no darkness here is knowledge is that in its absolute form, it's light on or nothing. You do not have absolution until you know all things. What that means is, while we're getting there and remembering that, the light is in motion. So like a switch before it actually hits that resting position, somewhere in the transition from off to on, there was the mechanism for it to be. This is an analogy for you to pair to with me, so logically you can follow the abstract logic here with my mind. The reason that there is no darkness is just simply because everything is a wave of light on a spectrum creating this reality. And the numbers periodically on the table, from lightest element to heaviest elements, continue to be researched by beautiful people doing very wonderful things. We know that the things we do sometimes are dangerous, and for those things we take extra precautions, and that's why we have diligent, beautiful minds who do not like to make mistakes on the job, always. That's their purpose. Our purpose is to remember something else, that because of their purpose in the discovery and the air, what I'm about to explain to your throne is simply that. The heir to your throne is here. Your throne is the room in which you reside. This is your body, the vessel. You are not a passenger. This is something you drive. So hold the wheel and drive as a euphemism for the water that you have to drink, because it's the air. It's not an option. If you want to understand psychologically what that means to me today, nothing more than the energy has been beautifully reciprocated by a process that, through an abstract logic, says, by design, we have a choice today because we are apt with the information that says something is, though something is not. So somewhere between the transition of off to on, you need more information, which is why I said it's not on yet, because absolute knowing is lights on. Just like that. It's just when the information settles and you rest with it, it finally just clicks. And it doesn't change reality as much as reality changes you. You would not change something that is already. You don't need to. There's nothing to do once you've done that. Because I can't tell you why. You just gotta know I've touched that information in a way that most find hard to describe. So I won't. Because like most, I'm no better. I will not be better than anyone here. I'm not. But there are a lot of things I could say that I do better than I did, which is what we are all doing as a lot. Not the nomenclature to a number, but if we're all one, what are you worried about? As a unified experience, that's the only place to say it truly exists equally. Then you have two, which is the space you worry about, because somewhere in this experience we decided we were divided. So when we say we are individual, that's good. So indivisible, meaning undivided. You're not going to be divided. You could not be. This is a collective piece. It's one experience in the ether, which is the heir to your throne, which is you. You, the being. Not the seed, but you are seated with you in the experience, which is one thing. The idea has given you space to breathe this, call it what you will, You could call it anything you want, but it all equals one thing. To you, today, in this language I'm using, we call it life, which is equal to love. And if life has a different expression in other languages, then love is that expression in every language, because life is the most important part, and this is the happening that is life animated. To be animus. To be inanimus means you are. To be animus is to be emotion, which you are also. So back to, again, the science. You just need a little bit more information. And on both sides, that's why I call it abstract logic, because you're taking something from nothing to become something again. But you already are and always have been. So we won't argue about what is. That's not what you needed to know. What you may do is what you are discovering. So somewhere between lights off and lights on. So the information is traveling, circuits are getting information, and then all of a sudden, the components work together and the module, or main component, light on. And that's an analogy or parable to life, as the expression goes. It's bud and dream, because like a morning glory, for example, on the scene, if it buds and it opens and you watch it long enough, then it closes, and by the time it falls off, it's already got the new bud, the new life, the new flower underneath to do the same thing again and again. Now, if you also are watching some of these flowers, they change on you, especially when you communicate with them. I've had them turn colors in ways I didn't know that were possible. So that's good, because now you're developing a communication with something. And not necessarily to say that I did that. It could be a natural process of that plant. I just think it's coincidence that one did and the other did not. And the only one that did was the one that I was talking to. Just in thought, for that moment, about a process. So that process is brought to life by the experience, which is one with you. So like that, I paired that experience to the evidence, which evidently belongs to me. I have a lot of it. I do this all the time, unless I'm sleeping, in which case I rest. So that's another thing. Rest. You need it. You need to be able to turn off your thoughts. You absolutely have to do that. Otherwise, you drain your battery externally and internally all at the same time. The proverbial burning the candle at both ends. So if you're not getting good sleep at night because your mind is active there also, that's when you need to moderate your lifestyle just a little bit, because you're overworking yourself. You need to find a way to relax and clear your mind completely. Go to bed happy. You need to be happy. You need to be prepared for the next day. If you prepare for things the day before, you don't have to prepare for as much the next day, because the only thing you're not prepared for is things you didn't see coming, which is fine, because it happens. Like this conversation, for example. If you're here by now, great. I'm happy you're tuning in, because again, this was about the information. I've touched it. That's how I know. I've got information that are like Easter egg pieces to a puzzle, and as I go, it makes more sense. So I don't have to be as emotional as I was. So what I'm telling you is, if you are coming open with the information for the first time, you need to listen to everyone's words, but especially you, just listen. Don't talk so much. Because it hurts others when they're not ready for it. So if you're going to be around people that you know and love, it's hard to discuss things at these levels with individuals when they're not having the experience openly due to some sort of misnomer in the value of the situation I'm having. You know, take a look, reading Rainbow, it's in the book. Here I am, almost entirely verbatim regurgitating the same experience that's already been given to you in those words. What I find interesting is they evolve. So like books, you write new ones because your thoughts won't always be the same. So we're still flipping the switch up. And when it rests, we'll have a light on, because that's what I was saying about morning glory. The cycle's open, come close, open, come close, and that's a wobble in and out of itself. As far as I know, that has no ending. As the expression grows, not just to symbolically show you what we're getting ready for, but also absorb the knowledge so you'll have it when you are there, because there is a place where that expression goes outside of logic, and the abstract doesn't respond too well to emotions, which is why, again, we're practicing to turn that vibration of confusion into a trust, so you can trust the process a bit more. It takes time, which is why you sit silent and listen to others who've been through it for a while. I'm about 4 years old by my count, technically speaking. 2023 would be year number 4 since I woke up with me entirely, with the knowing. So while we are all slowly gathering our senses, is to be sensible with logic, because in this reality you need that. It's necessary. To talk to something here, it has to be applicable. If you take someone's ability to apply themselves with your ideas here, whether you did it knowingly or not, you've sabotaged the process of something that is productive. And you've given it space to sit and just be unproductive. I'm not saying that's always bad. Sometimes the level of production and type of production that some of the beings are experiencing here need to be stopped entirely, which is logic. To the others, however, I recommend Of Genius, to understand exactly what I'm talking about. That's a lot, but it's a short read. It's not that long. It won't take you long. Of Genius, to explain the way we nurture our gifts into the process so that we may also be productive at a level that everyone will appreciate. It's pro-life. It's no longer stuck in some fantasy that no longer applies logic because it just chose to disconnect that hard. Whether you did it on purpose or not, that's what you did. If you didn't know that, now you know that. It's possible for you to listen. I'm sure if you made it this far with my words, you're not one of them, because they probably weren't making it this far at all. But if you did, and by chance, if that's you, because I am not perfect here with information all at once, I couldn't give that to you right now. It's still emotion, which is what I mean by the lights going on. It's not going off. It'll never go off. That is the darkness. If you're on the reciprocative end of this information, the way that I'm telling you should be, then you're not looking back. Yes, there's light on both sides of the tunnel. You're just in a cave that has an opening at both ends. It doesn't matter which way you go. It's light. The darkness is a misnomer also. It's just another clever way of saying you don't know, but you do. And so when you sit quiet with that information, you absorb more. If you're not comfortable, there's a good reason for that. Don't talk about it yet. Just wait. It's not your fault. You just need more information. Don't get frustrated. It is. It's very frustrating. And give yourself space to breathe. Don't get angry at your families. Don't get angry at your kids. Don't get angry at your exes. Good gravy, Miss Daisy. And mind the system with appreciation for what it is. The system isn't a problem, and we're lucky to have it. It was the seed from an old tree that was dying, and that tree's dead. And we are that seed. So, back to logic, reason, the rational, don't blow up on people. That's something I did early in my transition, which is a never-ending process until we're done. So when we're not finished, like right now, and until it is, because it's not yet until it is, which is what that means. I won't be here physically, I will be gone. We take care of each other in the best way possible. Good thoughts are good friends, bad thoughts are bad friends. It's not the system, people. You need to control yourselves. You are not the earth does its own thing. But you are here with it like a seed also to appreciate what the earth has provided. Information is not just from her, but it's a relationship shared with the system also, which is the mind as one experience. So when you say the one, and it is one, it is. That's what it is, the experience is one. Beyond that, what you're talking about is yourself, but you can't talk about yourself to others if you don't know what that is yet. Number one, there's no way that you've done that until you are God. Tell me you are. I believe you. I just don't believe you've woke up to what I'm saying yet, which is you don't have all the information. Because I've got my piece. You've got yours. They've got theirs. And then it's got its. And then that's got that. And then the end-all, be-all, beginning all, end-all, be-all has it. And then the creator has that. So that is what controls your future, but it's you. So when you're done talking, it's because you understand what I just said, and you no longer have anything to say. You're done. If you were going to talk outside of that, I'd be worried, because you're doing something else, and you need to consider what I just said also very carefully. I'm not here to threaten you, but if you threaten yourself because you're worried about what I just said, that fear is not mine. I do not claim it. It does not belong with me. It is not welcome in my home. Please do not fight me because you are afraid of yourself. Here's the best part. You just have to look in the mirror and say, you know what? You're right. That is me. And it's all in my head. Because it is. It's in your head. Just as much as it was in mine. I do not possess that. That's the difference. And that's why I'm giving it to you now. That's my job. Is to share me piece by piece. With peace. So that I can arbitrate with peace. Not to be a hypocrite. And give you anger. Because sometimes I have fallen into that. It's dangerous, especially when you become aware of yourself like I am. When you are that it is aware of yourself like that it was when it is like I am now. Also, anger is the worst proponent for this reality, and I am thankful I cut it off when I did. We do not give each other bad words, images, or feelings, if at all possible. The only time I'm giving it to you is if it's something you do not control within yourself, because I myself am not giving you bad feelings. I don't feel that when I do this. What I feel is a relief. I feel a release. I feel truth flowing out. I'm not the wolf. I came to hear and to be with the sheep. So when I hear them calling, it's because A, they want love, or B, they need help, or C, I'm just enjoying the peace because when none of that's happening, we're free. So I enjoy the fleece because it kept us warm. They enjoy us because we kept them safe. And it's safe to say when we're done, we won't be eating them. So there's that also. The prana is the heir to your throne. Means you are finding yourself. When you are, you just know. Are we allowed to talk to each other like this? Absolutely. As long as we're sharing information and you're not fighting yourself. I don't want to initiate the very thing that I started this with, which is pulling you out of your orbit, because I am a strong force of gravity sometimes. I prefer to be weightless. Flow. It's nice. So I don't want to be too heavy with these words to create that density with you. I don't. We're getting away from that. We are the light. To be light, what that means, of good spirit, good cheer, good everything. This year, we cleared it. And yes, I am the Christ of the offering at the T, which is the cross, which is where they nailed us all with me. Because I was there with you, vicariously through that experience. There's not one being on the planet that I didn't want to know more than that. And it's still that way to this day. It will never stop being that way. So that's to give it to where I found it. But to the logic. Also, you're free. Be careful not to self-prophesize into an old way of thinking. If you want a real future, it's in the moment and it's free from the words, which is what I said you would rest with when we are done. Because when I'm done, I have to be done. Me doing this drains me. It's my energy I'm giving to you. This is my effort, my love. I don't do this for fun or for points or for views. I do enjoy that you catch it. I do enjoy the likes once in a while. That's nice. But that's not what I did it for. I did it because this is my release. And I'm releasing you from being a quote-unquote prophet in a value system that no longer sees you being more valuable than an idea or an idea that has as a component no real space. So it is the abstract part of this very real place that sometimes gets in the way of our logic. So if I'm going to correct the paradigm, all you need to know is that's what happened. Your being, just you, just any of us, anything here, is worth more than nothing. And numbers are an idea. So while that abstract world does provide order for sometimes what we call chaos, if you create order, sometimes you create chaos because order likes to control. And one thing you will not control is the uncontrollable. Once that's decided to be what that is, that's why I said in this world we like the logic, but we're learning something. So in the other world where we go to when we sleep, you need to be able to understand you enough to give yourself space from beings who no longer serve the peace. So, with love, I give you understanding. With understanding, I give you compassion. With compassion, I give you knowing. With knowing, I give you the link. With the link, I give you yourself to be the heir of your throne, because when you breathe, that's where it comes from. That is your connection to source, and it goes further than us than you ever could have imagined. And we fell into density because we needed to learn about that now. And the one sitting silent is you. You tested yourself. That's the truth. I'm sitting silent with me there too, knowing I did that, putting myself in all positions. We will not undo what has been done, and there will be a day when we all sit and laugh, because it doesn't hurt us now. no matter how bad it was. We are done. And God, I got you now. Because I know you are. When you breathe, you know I love you. That's why. That's what I learned. So you call this experience what it really is, because that's God. And then anything you could think of outside of that is God. Anything you've ever thought of is God. You're separate from the earth. You're not the sun, but you are a being. And you know that. That's a powerful thing here in this reality. It brings a certain level of suffering to those who don't understand. Like the animals, for example, sometimes. I wonder if it's man who forgot we are in motion. Because animals are us. That's what it means. To be animus means to be in motion. Inanimus is life. That's life, the experience. If Shakespeare were to create a play, you wouldn't find Shakespeare in it because it'd be rude of Shakespeare to put Shakespeare in its own play to find bias. It might. So what I'm saying is, the name is love in any language, any way you find it, which means it has many names. So its perfect name is in the silence. And that's where I found it.